Something came up this week in the channel. So Jill and I talk a lot. We have a Google chat room. We talk back and forth about different things as you'd expect. And I ran the. I'm going to go to the homepage here, pull it up. We did the 2023 quarter two truck sales, which, by the way, you guys watched the crap out of the video. I was not anticipating you guys watching that video, and there was like I don't know, it was like 10,000 views immediately, something like that. I mean, you guys really want to know who the truck sales king is, and wow, that was pretty entertaining. I was rather blown away. And those truck sales, by the way, if you on pickuptrucktalk.com, and if you're watching this live stream, there's a little bit of data on top. I'm going to scroll over. We use WordPress as a background, so that's what you're seeing. And I didn't log out, so I apologize for that. Usually I log out and it's all clean for you guys. But if you scroll down, I have a bunch of commentary about what I think about the sales, because I've been doing this for 12 years. I have a few thoughts. You get down to the bottom, and there's a chart, which, by the way, the chart was wrong in the video. Somebody pointed out, again, feedback, that I had quarter one sales instead of quarter two sales. So a little behind the scenes is that this chart I copy and paste time and time again and update the numbers, and I can move things around. But it's a good template that I use. And sometimes, like I did, I forgot to change the quarter two sales. And I should just say quarterly sales, last year sales, and just that way I don't have to change it. There you go. Food for thought. Things I can make change. So you can scroll through these numbers, and there's lots of information on here. And I did an entire video on this. But Jill pointed out to me, she says, she says, why do you continue to list the Chevy Silverado with the light duty and heavy duty numbers separately? And why don't we combine them like other channels do into a GM truck sales number? Well, a couple things. It's kind of interesting. First of all, GM actually reports their sales combined in the investor calls. So they do quarterly sales call with the New York media, right? The sales media, the people that they're doing the stocks, things like that, the investors. And I actually was invited to it, and I didn't make it because it's 6 a.m. my time. Actually, I think it's actually 4 a.m. my time. And I'm sorry, but listening to GM VPs at 4 a.m. is just not on my agenda. So I didn't make that one. But you know what? I'm going to do it. One of these days, I'm going to take one for the team. I'm going to get on that sales call and listen to what they're talking about. And so I've been told from GM PR that they do list numbers together on that sales call. So that I'm clarifying things. I haven't done a sales call, but I clarify. And from my standpoint is until GM combines their numbers in a spreadsheet like this, I just don't feel right combining them for them. This is information they provide to consumers, and you can go on the media site and double check these numbers. If I combine them, it doesn't feel right. And so you in your head can combine them, and you can easily see the sales numbers. Ford F Series, which is how we list it, had 208,000 sales quarter two, and the Chevy and GMC Sierra combined have, again, I'm bad at math, so 75,000 plus 140,000, 215,000. So GM outsold Ford this quarter, which GM has historically last several quarters, several years, has actually outsold the Ford F Series, which creates you can get deep in the weeds on this. First of all, it's Ford F Series, which includes 150, 250, 350, and 450, which I believe they don't sell very many 450s. The Chevy Silverado includes the 1500, 2500, 3500, not the 4500. And they actually have a separate listing for medium duty, which we don't report on because we don't do much with medium duty. And then it always creates a question, is the Ford F-150 the best-selling truck in America? Best-selling vehicle, actually, in America? Because this comes up, well, if you guys are truck fans, you've been on different forums, different Facebook groups, and you've heard this before. I'm not speaking anything out of tongue here. You guys have heard this before and read it before. Ford F-150 best-selling vehicle. Well, it's sort of, in a way. Kind of, maybe. All right. So I had done this. Jill actually asked this question, and I had done this a couple of years ago, and I'm going to pull up the story. This goes back to, oh my goodness, I'm going to go back in time. I should need some music, like back in time. This was January 6th of 2020. Wow. Must have been a pretty dark winter that year. But I did a video, is the F-150 the best-selling truck? And I finally have the answer. And I guess I have the answer in a way. And this is my way after the answer. So I have a long debate here with myself, and I discuss why I'm laying out my reasons. I'll tell you on this live stream podcast my reasoning. My reasoning is this, is that GM has decided to list their light duty and heavy duty separately. This was a massive change. So if you think about 2019, and I actually remember this pretty vividly, the truck companies, manufacturers, are doing sales reports on a monthly basis, and there's still a lot of them that do. I think Hyundai does, I think Toyota does, Mazda does. They do it a monthly basis. GM and Ford, about that same time, decided to switch to quarterly because, Tim, monthly sales don't give us a really good, accurate picture of the marketplace. But if we give you quarterly sales, it gives you a much better, accurate view of the marketplace. Yes, that's what they sound like. So they separated out GM light duty and GM heavy duty separately. And so what this created was I could do a percentage. I could do some, math. And again, I'm a journalist, not great at math, but I could do some math. And I figured out that looking at the total sales of GM light duty and GM heavy duty, that percentage was about 25%. On average, the light duty versus heavy duty mix is 25% heavy duty and 75% light duty. Okay, which makes sense. If you drive around any sort of neighborhood, you see a lot more light duties than you do heavy duty trucks. And so I thought, what if we did the same kind of math with Ford? And that's kind of what my guess, because GM has told me that they're basically neck and neck with Ford as far as the overall sales mix between heavy duty and light duty. They kind of told me, hey, we're kind of close. And what's frustrating is that some bitches never give me data, and I can't get the data. This is I had such a hard time with this. So Polk Automotive gets this data, and they put together, and automakers can buy the data from them. It's competitive data, but Polk will not sell it to me. And I have friends who work there who've tried to pull strings, and Polk will not sell data to me. And they have data like, what's the best-selling truck in Dallas? What's the best-selling truck in Austin? Like, amazing amount of information. I would just love to know, like, what's the best-selling truck in Oklahoma? It'd be amazing to know that information. And Polk, for whatever reason, will not sell it to me. So if you're listening, Polk, yes, I'm throwing you to the throwing you out there. I'm putting you out on a pedestal to target you to say, sell me the damn data. I'll pay for it, but they won't sell me data. So anyways, what we have here is we have percentages. So I said, okay, well, if GM's doing about 25%, let's just theorize Ford's doing 25% as well, which Ford may do a little bit more because they do a lot bigger fleet business. I don't know. I'm just throwing out 25%. So if you look at the numbers back then, in 2019 quarter three, in 2019 year total and total year, 25%. If you look down at this chart, and I did RAM as well, you can see that Ford F-150 in that model year sold 671,396 vehicles, or trucks. GM trucks, the 1,500 overall, sold 611,138. So $60,000 difference there in total volume of vehicles. So if you look at those numbers versus and the Ram 1500, I put the Toyota RAV4 and Honda HR-V in it as well. You can see where the Ford M50 really does kick butt, and it did kick butt. But does it still? It's always a question in my head. So I went back to here, and I thought about this again. So I pulled up my sheet of paper and my trusty pen and my calculator. And I said, okay, let's say Ford in quarter two sales sold 208,050 trucks, which works out to 156,000 trucks overall, F-150 trucks. So they sold about 156,000 F-150s. If I use the 25% number, again, it's not scientific. If I use that number, what do they get? And then I looked at GM, and I combined the Chevy Silverado with GMC Sierra, which is the 215,886 trucks. Ooh, bigger number. If I went ahead and took 75% of that, I have 161,914. So 161,914 trucks for GM, 156,073 trucks for Ford. Let that sink in there for a minute. Let you guys have some data there. So that was, I don't know. It's interesting. So is the Ford M50 still an amazingly popular truck in America? Yeah, no doubt about it. Is it the best-selling truck in America? I don't know. But then what do you say? Does GM create a marketing campaign that says GM trucks are the best-selling trucks in America? I don't know. I mean, does it make sense to you guys? You guys use Chevy. You want to hear like Chevy Silverado. You want to hear like Ford, and Ford's always, if you watch the marketing, they're always really coy when they say that. Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America. How can an entire series of trucks be the best-selling trucks? It's just ridiculous. It's like saying McDonald's sells the best hamburgers on the fast food. well, is it the Big Mac? Is it the quarter pounder? Is it a double cheeseburger? How's it gonna work out? So yeah, that was kind of my rabbit hole with that. And there's a lot of comments you guys put in comments. Let me get to the comments in just a minute. And so I want to get to, well, actually, I've got the comments right now because there's one more deal on warranty I want to get to as well. Let me go to close that. I'm going to get to this last story in a minute. Yeah. So how much? So Bayo asked. I'm going to go with Bayo. I don't know. These screen names are funny. Funny because they're hard for me to pronounce. How much of these 2008 units were fleet sales? So that has always been a fascinating question, and there is no data. I can't get the data for that. The best thing I can tell you is that when I've talked to GM and Ford, they have basically said that their fleet business is the size of a Fortune 500 company by itself, just the fleet business. If GM and Ford sold just their fleet business separately, it'd be a massive company. So that kind of tells me that I'm going to say anywhere from 50 to 65% of those numbers are all fleet. And that's going to happen with Ford and Chevy, because I got a number. I got a statement from Chevy, by the way, from GM. Let me go find it. We were doing. Let me get the full screen. Let me give you some background information. I was at the Chevy Silverado work truck event, and they had said something like they own fleet sales, which I was shocked because the week before I was with Ford, and Ford was like, we own work sales, and I was like, God, I'm hearing conflicting stuff, and so the vice president of Chevrolet said this, which I didn't know the guy's vice president. I get this all the time. I have no idea I'm going to sound like I'm a dick, but I meet presidents, vice presidents all the time. I don't care. I mean, the guys put their boots on and pants on the same way, so they're just people. Yeah. So it was Scott Bell, Chevy VP. Okay. So he said. So this is a statement from Chevrolet, and I guess I can't put it on my screen. Maybe I can. If I maybe I can get fancy. I probably can't. Let me tell you. They had the fastest growing high volume OEM and total fleet sales based on calendar year to date, November 21 to calendar year. I'm going to put this on the screen. This is too complicated. Let me get all fancy on y'all and take my redneck stuff out of here. And I'm going to crop it because I don't get, you guys don't need to see. It's a text conversation. You guys don't need to see all the text conversation we have behind the scenes. And I'm not trying to be rude. It's just it's not that interesting. You may think it is, but really, I don't find it interesting. All right, it's doing its thing. It's gonna go to here. Okay, and then I think I can put this in a window over here. Oh, I think I got this figured out. All right, and then all right. Oh man, boom. All right, let me take down Bob's comment or Bayo. I'm sorry, buddy. So fleet commercial sales claims. This is Chevrolet's fleet and commercial sales claims. They're the fastest growing high volume OEM, which is the manufacturer, and total fleet sales based on calendar year to date, November 2021 to calendar year to date, November 2022. So a year long and rolling 12-month new registration volume greater than 500,000 combined. GM is currently number one in total fleet. He mistyped it. It's fine. In fleet registrations for model year 2023 vehicles. GM is currently number one in commercial registration for class 6 and below, model year 2023, based on S&P Global Mobility new vehicle registrations. Which again, I can't get the details, but yeah. So GM is actually currently claiming that they are the best, fastest growing high volume manufacturer in total fleet sales. There's a lot of small manufacturers as well, and they are saying they're currently besting Ford in overall fleet. Put that in your smoke. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I don't know. It's an interesting comment. I mean, interesting statement. So yeah, I don't know. What do you? I mean, I'll let you guys dive into that one. Let that one gestate, live in your brain. I don't know, man. It is kind of interesting. It gets me kind of fired up because again, like Elliot's saying here, I wish automakers would show how many vehicles released for purchase. I think it'd be interesting detail. I wish we had more data. Like, what is fleet doing? What is leasing doing? What's selling where? Who's buying what? I want these details. And again, and I've asked about every different way that you can believe under the sun to figure out the data. And yeah, I can't get the data. And so I'm frustrated about that.